often ask me how I make the world of my books so vivid and real, and all I can say is that I try as much as possible to experience myself with all five senses: touching, tasting, smelling, hearing, all of those details that give a sense of what life is like. But probably the most important one for me in imagining and writing my characters is wearing period clothes. Imagine wearing this. Can you imagine hoovering in it or riding a bicycle? And this one is just a theatre cheat. The real ones would have had boning made of wood or steel, and they wouldn't have laced up the front, which is to let me put it on myself, but it would have laced up the back, which meant you would have needed at least a maid, if not 2 or 3 ladies in waiting to help you get dressed. Court women also wore a farthingale. The farthingale was designed to hold your skirts out, but you can already begin to see the kinds of problems you might have if you were wearing it. What if you wanted to pick something up, for example? It's impossible. And as for sitting down, and over the farthingale, they wore a bum roll. Now this went around your waist, tied on, and what it did was that it made your skirt stick out in a little ledge. Over the bum roll and the farthingale goes the petticoat. It very often had a decorative front panel like this one. They saved the cheaper fabric for the back and put the really expensive stuff at the front, where it would often be shown by a divided skirt. And over that then went the dress itself, and that very often had sleeves that were pinned on with straight silver pins, and you might have a stiff stomacher that was also pinned on. Believe me, all of that stuff weighs a ton. I gather that Natalie Portman and Scarlett Johansson, when they were making The Other Berlin Girl, were quite startled to find out how much their costumes restricted their movement. That you couldn't rush up and give someone a hug, for example, and they said they had to learn to use their eyes and hands in a completely new way. In Noble Assassin, most of all this is unspoken, but it should help you, the reader, to feel the truth of the behavior of my female characters. I mean, I do sometimes give details, like in the scene I've written where Lucy rides hell for leather to Berwick to meet the new English Queen on her way south from Scotland. I actually found a side saddle expert who let me sit on a period saddle, and I've ridden since I was 9, and I was very surprised to find how secure I felt. Therefore, I wrote the scene in a completely different way than I might have done if I'd just been trying to imagine it. But on the whole, this kind of experience just lets me feel and helps me, therefore, tell you what it might have felt like, really, to be a 17th century woman.